So let's go sit down for a couple minutes and confession time. So I just briefly wanted to talk to you about the struggle that it is to sort through your keepsakes, and that you can't keep everything. There is not a house big enough in this world, I don't think, to keep everything that we'd like to keep. My tip to you is, and I do follow my own advice, and it still is a work in progress. I've been 2 days downstairs lately cleaning the garage, sorting through stuff, and multiple times throughout the summer going through literally probably 100 at least Rubbermaid containers of stuff that I have held on to. Filled up an entire basement, built-in bookcases, closets, 2 barns at our last house. Moved back here, had to have 2 storage buildings that we rented because we did downsize. Got rid of most of that stuff already, but still, I'm proud to say that we've narrowed it down to it's just filling up most of the garage. So a lot of work. It is an emotional process, especially when you're going through your kids' baby items and childhood items. And honestly, you feel like, at least that's how I felt, that if you threw away something that belonged to your child and it was a precious memory of yours, like it was a precious memory of mine, it's almost like you're throwing your kids away. And that was an emotional struggle. That was a real pull on the heartstrings. So this is the direction I'm heading. I'm not there yet. I've come a very, very long way, but I'm not there yet. I would like to have 1 Rubbermaid container per child, 2 at the most. And again, the same with other keepsakes from family members that I want to hang on to. What I'm trying to do, and this is a second tip for you. The first tip was, 1 to 2 containers per loved one. The second tip to you is try and display these keepsakes as much as possible. Something that you can look at every day and that brings you joy and reminds you of that loved one. That loved one might still be alive, or that loved one may have passed, but I want to use what I have. And I'm really good about, with my good dishes and stuff, I use them because I want to entertain us. I want to entertain family. I want to entertain guests when we have them over. So that would be the second tip. And the third tip is give yourself enough time to think through, because it is a process, and it is a very emotional process, or it can be for those of us that collect things through the years. But don't be too hard on yourself, but realize our grandmothers didn't keep everything that their mothers gave them. There probably wasn't much to be handed down, because those were hard times back that long ago, like in the early 1900s. Keep that in mind. And there's kind of a funny saying, and my husband and I joke about this. There's a saying that says, your kids don't want your stuff. And lo and behold, that's true. When we ask our kids, it's mostly me, because if my husband had his way, it would just be the bare necessities in the home, because he is more of a minimalist. When I ask our kids, well, what would you like to have? And, do you want this childhood memory? They're like, no, no, no. And so I'll wait a month, and then I'll go through that box again, and then I'll text them and send them that same question again with a picture. Wouldn't you love to have this to pass down to your kids? And that kind of thing. And they're like, no. So I'm the one struggling, okay? Not anybody else. If you can relate, leave a comment below and let me know if you're facing a similar struggle. We will get through this together, I promise you. And I do know one thing, like I got rid of a lot of toys and books that belonged to my kids, and I had hung on to them for 20 plus years. So that's a long time to carry that from home to home to home to basement to storage building, and it just was a lot. It's been a lot. And so now I'm at the point to where I'm ready to let go of a lot of it, and I have. And you never know just how much you are not blessing others by hanging on to this stuff. So many people could benefit from the items that we have. And, there are a lot of people out there that might be less fortunate than we are. There's people out there that have more than we have. But there's a lot of people out there who are less fortunate, and you never know, that very thing that you've held on to that really nothing really special about it, it just belonged to your child. And you don't want to part with it for that reason because you feel like you're throwing your child away. But there could be somebody out there who maybe their kids are grown, or maybe they even lost a child, and you have an item maybe that their child had that, got lost in a flood or whatnot, and it might remind that mom of her child. So we can't hang on to everything. Just pick and choose the most special memories and ask your kids or ask your loved ones, did this hold a very special memory in your heart? If so, those are the things to hold on to, not every piece of clothing. Like, I got rid of tons of clothing too. I had held on to everything. Yes, everything. I am feeling your pain. It's time to bless somebody else. Hang on to those few little outfits that you remembered your kids being in if you want to. I still have a way to go. Trust me, I have a way to go. But I've come so far, and we have to celebrate the small things, because the small things end up being big things. So don't be too hard on yourself. Incorporate your husband to help you. A lot of times my husband presents things to me in a way that makes me laugh. He just says the funniest things sometimes, and it really makes me realize sometimes kind of how, I don't want to say ridiculous I'm being, but just that I need to change my ways. Let's just put it that way. So I appreciate that. The one time I tried to get my kids to help me sort through all their schoolwork, I said, now I have a keep pile and a throwaway pile. Guess what? They couldn't throw away a thing either. That's why I still have it 20 years later. So, well, it hadn't been 20 years. It's been probably 15 years. Do what you can. Invite someone over maybe that you really trust, that won't force you or try and talk you into doing something that you don't really want to do that you'll regret later. But somebody who can reason with you. Somebody who won't be pushy, but they can reason with you. So, these are the tips I have. I hope that I've inspired you, encouraged you. I hope that I've helped you not feel alone. Let's finish that china cabinet.